Overwatch 2 Season 2. Ramattra Storm's a Season 2 Battle Pass unlocking for free at level 45 or immediately for the Premium Battle Pass. They just changed that from level 55 to 45. I think they posted it yesterday. As Overwatch's first tempo tank, Ramattra can change between two forms moment to moment based on what his teammate needs. With the tactical training of a lethal soldier and the discipline of a devout monk, Ramattra can be your greatest asset or your worst enemy. Now, we'll talk a little bit about Ramattra. We're playing a ton of Ramattra today, but yeah. Embark on a pilgrimage to our latest escort map, Shambali Monastery. Actually a pretty fun map, where you can explore ancient temple grounds and traverse Winden village streets, following the footsteps of countless omnics, some who may be familiar to you, on the uphill trek to the Sanctum. Advance to the Battle Pass and earn rewards by Ancient Greece to get ready for 3 limited time events: Winter Wonderland, Battle for Olympus, and Lunar New Year. First of all, general updates. Start with that one. Control game mode. We fixed a bug regarding overtime on control maps. However, that fix led to other bugs we had to resolve. Ultimately, this led to some anticlimactic gameplay results that we weren't happy with. After hearing player feedback, we've made the following change. Whenever a point is captured under control, the team losing control of the point counts as having contested the point for the purposes of overtime, even if they were not present. For example, if Team A has 99% and Team B has current control of the point, but then Team A take back control of the point, overtime will automatically trigger and start to burn down unless Team B can touch again. At lower capture percentages, this will change. Will have no impact on the game mode, and this new rule is only applied for the purposes of overtime. It's pretty much what it was like before. Basically, if it's a close game, it's at 99%, and they cap it, it will give you time to touch the point. Just a little bit. All right? Spoiler, thanks for 2 months of Future Prime stuff. All right, hero update and challenge. We've added challenges for unlocking Jungle Queen, Sojourn, and Kiriko. 70+ player icon rewards have been added to challenges with the release of Season 2. A shop update. Season 2 competitive play. Season 2 competitive play begins now. Here are some updates for interested in competitive. There are new temporary competitive title rewards for name cards based on your end of season rank. You can earn these titles at the end of the current competitive season, can only use them in the season following, which we have that now with the top 500 one. Heroes that aren't eligible for competitive play will have a lock icon in the hero gallery. Implemented a group of matchmaking enhancements to improve match quality. I think hopefully that works, because I know a lot of people want to see that. So obviously new hero Ramattra won't be available in comp for 2 weeks. So that's the beginning of the patch stuff. Now we're going to talk about a lot of the changes to the game, which of course this is still in a spot that isn't ideal. 1 second. Damage roll passive no longer provides a movement speed bonus. Reload speed bonus increased from 25 to 35%. Let's talk about this for a second. Heroes like Hanzo were not benefiting from the passive. Basically, it actually made shots harder for Hanzo and some DPS in general, where you would get that increase on your attack speed. I mean, on your movement speed, excuse me, not your attack speed. Attack speed is with Kiriko. But basically, with movement speed, what was happening is it was making it harder for heroes like Hanzo to be able to hit shots. What I do think of this when I hear about the reload speed bonus, that I feel like that really benefits Ashe, and this actually buffs Ashe. Straight up. I think Ashe just gets a lot better from that, because one of the biggest issues with Ashe is the reload time. This will make Ashe a lot better. Without even directly buffing Ashe, like that is just a good buff to Ashe. Tank! Ramattra. Ramatra's been added to the lineup. Void Accelerator, Omnic form. We kind of talked about this in the video yesterday. Primary, fire a stream of projectiles in a fixed pattern. Secondary, created a barrier at the targeted location. We'll kind of look at this stuff a little bit later, as we kind of had a video yesterday on all of that. Nemesis form, transform in the Nemesis form, charging your attacks, or changing your attacks and gain this bonus armor, which is, I think is 150 HP. Pummel, primary punch forward, creating a wave of piercing energy with every swing. This is a Nemesis form. And secondary, significantly reduced damage taken from the front and reduced movement speed, which it does absorb damage. Ravenous Vortex, this is the stuff that slows. Fire a nanoball, which explodes when it hits the ground, spreading the damage in field. Affected enemies are slowed and pulled downward. As we saw yesterday, once again in the video, we looked at a lot of what Vortex has interaction-wise. Annihilation, enter Nemesis form and create an energy swarm surrounding yourself. This swarm will lash out towards nearby enemies, dealing damage and pausing the duration when damage is dealt, meaning that the ult can technically last the whole time as long as there's somebody in your ultimate. But now, and I'm excited, we're going to be playing Ramattra like all day today, chat. I cannot wait. But now, let's talk a little bit about some of the major changes too on top of what we just looked at. Doomfist. Now I'm going to start this by, I'm going to be honest with you, I think Doomfist is going to be one of the better heroes right now. I really believe that we could see Doomfist be in the S tier and Doomfist become meta. This is just my take initially. Obviously that could change over time throughout the patch, but I really do think Doom is strong. So let's go on with this. Developer comments, there are several changes here for Doomfist with the intent to increase his presence as a disruptive brawler style tank. The buff to his passive ability will help him stay in the fight longer, especially when he's hitting multiple enemies with abilities. The changes to Power Block and Meteor Strike are intended to increase the availability of Empowered Rocket Punch, which enables him to more easily disrupt enemies and impact multiple targets. Due to gain an Empowered Rocket Punch more consistently, the stun duration and size are slightly decreased to reduce some of the frustration in playing against it. I still think it probably will be frustrating to get stunned. Regardless of, like, the timer being reduced, being stunned will not be the most enjoyable thing. It's still kind of a wait and see on how that will play, but I'm not, like, it's not... I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I don't really enjoy the idea of having it stunned too much, but I do have to go kind of test how long it lasts for. For Rocket Punch, we're shifting some of its damage away from For Rocket Punch, we're shifting some of its damage away from Why can't I say requiring? For Rocket Punch, we're shifting some of its damage away from requiring wall impacts so that it's broadly more useful regardless of where fights are taken. So here we go. Here's the balance patch. Impact damage range. Minimum maximum increase from 1530 to 2550. Basically, if you hit your impact damage, you do more damage now. It goes up to 50. Impact damage. Sorry, the initial impact damage. Excuse me. Wall slam damage is reduced to 10 to 30. So even if you hit them against the wall with that damage, it's less damage, but you get more damage from just hitting the rocket punch. So, like, right away, if you right-click in, you'll just do a bunch of damage. And then if you hit them against the wall, there's a little bit more damage. So, overall, it basically ranges from... If you hit both of the combos, it would be basically anywhere from 35 to 80 damage, but depending if you hit the combos. Empowered Rocket Punch, Wall Slam stun duration range reduced from 0.5 to 1 second to 0.25 to 0.75. So you're going to get stunned for a little bit less, but you're still going to be stunned. Like, you will be stunned, and you'll definitely know when you're stunned. Non-empowered Rocket Punch now stuns for the minimum 0.25 seconds regardless... Wait. Non-empowered Rocket Punch now stuns for the minimum 0.25 second duration on Wall Slam. So this means that even if you don't have an empowered punch, they still get stunned for 0.25 seconds on a Wall Slam. So if you hit them against a wall, you're getting stunned now. And as we've seen, the right click here seems like it's going to be pretty powerful. Empowered Rocket Punch knockback radius reduced from 4 to 3 meters. That makes sense if they're doing Rocket Punch changes. Minimum time before cancel option becomes available reduced from 0.25 to 0.12. So, sounds like you can cancel that sooner. Cooldown reduced from 4 to 3 seconds, so you now get the Rocket Punch every 3 seconds instead of every 4 seconds. So, even though they're changing how long you're stunned for, you now get to be stunned every 3 seconds instead of every 4 seconds. This has been in since his rework, but was not mentioned. What hasn't? This has been in since his rework, but was not mentioned. What was it? The punch? Is it 3 seconds? Oh, it's always been 3 seconds? Oh. Okay, so you get stunned the whole time. Cooldown. Oh, it was 3 seconds? Yeah, I play a lot of Doomfist. It's no big deal. Power block. Cooldown reduced from 8 to 7 seconds, so you now can reduce damage even sooner. Duration increased to 2.5 seconds, so you can block damage for even longer. Minimum damage mitigated required to empower Rocket Punch reduced from 90 to 80. So, Power Block's much better now. To summarize Power Block, it's up quicker. It will last a lot longer, aka, well, 2.5 seconds now, which is gonna give more impact on that. And you also only need to take 80 damage now to get Empower Rocket Punch. So now you will have Rocket Punch even better, or even more often. Meteor Strike now empowers Rocket Punch on landing. That is a really strong buff. Just want to point that out. When you land now, that means you're going to be able to stun people against the wall with an empowered Rocket Punch, which, once again, we're going to talk about this here in a minute, but that is a lot. That is a lot. Enemy slow duration increased from 2 to 3 seconds. So not only when you land, you get a Rocket Punch, you also slow them for 3 seconds. Instead of 2 seconds. The best defense. Maximum temporary health increased from 150 to 200. So temporary health is like when you go in with like slam and stuff. 200 HP now. Temporary health gained per target hit with abilities increased from 30 to 40 health. So it's easier to get to that 200 health or even have more HP. So now we're going to talk about this for a second. Talk about Doomfist before we go into the next heroes. Doomfist is going to be extremely strong now. I would not doubt it if Doomfist is meta now. As you see, Doom has basically a bit more HP now. When you hit your slam, Doomfist can block more damage now. Doomfist can stun more consistently. Doom has more damage, essentially. Doom is just going to be one of the best heroes so far of Season 2. I would say without a doubt. I think Doomfist is quite possibly one of the best heroes so far in Season 2. If your question is Doomfist going to be better than Ramattra? Yes. I think right now, as of right now, Doomfist is going to be much better than Ramattra. Much better. Doomfist is really, really good based off of this patch and everything I've seen. Doomfist plays really well. So, definitely, I would expect to see the Doomfist pick rate go up quite a bit. And I would not doubt it if Doomfist becomes meta. So, you said, is Doomfist going to be better than Hog? I mean, you could technically go Hog, but even now when I've played against, like, good Doomfist can really keep a Hog from being able to use their cooldown timings correctly, which allows for Doomfist to get more value. So, it's hard to say if the Doom's able to get just more value now from a lot of, like, Rocket Punch and, like, other stuff in the kit, then maybe, maybe not. It's really hard to say. Okay, on to the next one here, chat. I'm going to talk about this with Junker Queen. I don't really understand this change. I mean, I understand it a little bit, but I'm confused a little bit too. Developer comments. Command and Shout is Junker Queen's primary tanking ability and utility, but with the additional survivability, it granted her team proved to be too powerful and needed to be tuned back significantly in a previous patch, which made Junker Queen the tank that Junker Queen is now. We're looking to shift more of that survivability into Junker Queen herself by increasing the amount of her passive ability heals through dealing damage with wounds. So, just to talk about this first part of this change, torso and head hit volume size increased by 12%. So to give you an idea of what that means, it is going to be easier to output damage to Junker Queen now because the hitbox is larger. The hitbox is larger. So it is easier to output damage to Junker Queen now. So while they're giving Junker Queen the ability to have more survivability with some of these other changes, Junker Queen now essentially has a larger hitbox. Now, my concern with this is I think this actually might make the rest of the small buffs here keep Junker Queen at the level that Junker Queen was at Season 1. Rampage. Wound duration reduced from 5 to 4.5 seconds. So what that means is that your ultimate now reduces the wound duration now only lasts for 4.5 seconds. So it nerfs the ultimate, but they allow for you to get the ultimate cost quicker by 10%. I was saying that since last season they needed to do that. Like, without a doubt they needed to do that, but I don't know if they needed to change the wound duration, and I'll explain why in a minute. Command and Shout reduced from 15 to 14 seconds. It's a good change. I mean, if we want to talk about a good change with Junker Queen here, it's a good change. I mean, like, it doesn't give Command and Shout that much of a difference. It's only up, like, a little bit sooner, and it doesn't overbuff it, which makes Command and Shout ridiculous. Adrenaline Rush. Adrenaline passive healing multiplier increased from 1 to 1.25 damage dealt by wounds. So, I think if they didn't do, like, the torso and head hit volume, we could say this and go, you know what? It's a step in the right direction with some of the stuff. My concern with this, right? The duration, 4.5 seconds. With Kiriko in the game already, Kiriko can pretty much counter Junker Queen immediately. Like, Junker Queen is just countered by Kiriko to begin with. So, having the ultimate still just be worse, technically, even though you can get it a little bit quicker, it doesn't really make Junker Queen that much better. Now, we talk about the passive heal and multiplier. I'm not going to go off of an example of Carnage because I don't know the exact numbers on that. I can maybe check it after. But this basically means that right now, when you hit somebody with, like, the knife or your melee, it will heal for 15 damage. Now it heals for 19. So, overall, if my math is correct, it's like you'll be healed. Like, it will heal you for, like, actually, no. It's, what, 15 currently on live? So 19 total. So, like, it heals you for a little bit more. But if you're taking a bunch more damage because your hitbox is now larger, I don't know if that will be enough to make Junker Queen that playable, right? Like, I don't think that this makes Junker Queen much more playable. Now, I could be wrong, right? Like, I could play Junker Queen and be like, okay, you know what? Going from 15 to 19 was a change that was needed, and I can see why. But overall, I just feel like Junker Queen just isn't... This just kind of keeps Junker Queen at the same, like, tier as last season. That's my opinion on that. So I think, like, I don't think this is necessarily like a full buff to Junker Queen. It can be argued that it's a bit of a buff, But the larger hitbox is... That's going to make it easier just to input damage on Junker Queen. Straight up. It's just... It's like, you said just melee constantly. Well, that's going to be the playstyle to begin with anyway. Like, when you're playing Junker Queen, a lot of it is keeping your bleeds up. But with heroes like Kiriko in the game right now, Kiriko is able to, like, just kind of counter a lot of what you do. So even if you hit a good Carnage and they're running Kiriko, you just don't get... Your Carnage gets no value, right? So these changes are, like, overall, I can see these being changes in, like, future seasons where it's like, okay, it's good to have that, but I just don't know if this makes Junker Queen that much better than Junker Queen was last season. And I want Junker Queen to be really good. I love playing Junker Queen, right? Junker Queen's a ton of fun. So that's my take on the Junker Queen change. I think it kind of keeps Junker Queen around the same spot. Could be wrong. We'll see. We'll play some Junker Queen. We'll get some more testing in, but that's my take on that. All right. So that's my take on, like, the tank changes that we saw there. It's pretty much where I'm at with that. Let's continue on and look at some more stuff now, right? Bastion. Developer comments. The intent of Bastion's ultimate is that enemy players can survive it if they are quick to react to the damage and impact areas. However, it ended up being too easy to avoid the damage areas entirely. We're reducing both the amount of warning time and explosion damage so that it's more reliable in dealing damage, but it won't be as lethal the closer the targets gets to the edge of the explosive range. So, talk about this very quickly. If you recall, when ultimate happened, right? When you use ultimate, and there was the glitch where you could use the ult like 50 times, people still could survive that. You could just run away from the ult when it was 50. So they probably looked at that, and they actually, not even probably, they mentioned today during, like, when they were doing that, like, interview, you could, even when it had 50 charges, you could still dodge that ultimate. It just wasn't that good. So what they're doing now is they're delaying before the projectile drops, making it drop quicker. The explosion damage is reduced. That way, with it dropping quicker, and having less time to react, there's a little bit less damage. So it gives Bastion a buff. No longer deals explosion damage to self, as we saw in one of... we had a short where the Bastion tried ulting me, and they ulted themselves. It didn't go well. Minimum delay between placing shots reduced by 20%. That way, it's a little bit easier to be able to get your shots in between. And then they actually changed Reconfigure. So Reconfigure cooldown reduced from 12 to 10 seconds. So you're actually going to get that up a little bit quicker, which, I mean, overall, this is just a buff to Bastion. Makes Bastion a little bit better. So, we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that plays, but yeah, just a Bastion buff. Okay, this is where we're going to have a bit of discussion about Sojourn changes, because I feel like Sojourn is getting buffed and nerfed. And I'll explain why. Developer comments. Sojourn is performing well at the highest tiers of competitive play, but poorly below those tiers. Much of the perception that she is too powerful seems to be driven by the reaction to dying to long-range charged headshots from her railgun secondary fire. These changes are aimed at reducing frustrations there, with the biggest change being the reduced critical multiplier for headshots. A fully charged headshot no longer kills a full health 200 HP hero. To help account for this loss of power, we're increasing the damage of her primary fire and how quickly her energy charges during her ultimate. Energy delay before draining reduced from 8 to 5 seconds. Honestly, they could have even went with 4 seconds here. I think 8 to 4 seconds might have been the play. Maybe not. 8 to 5 seconds is still pretty good. Secondary fire damage fall-off starting range reduced from 70 to 40 meters. That means that after 40 meters, you can still do damage. It's just going to be a damage fall-off. 40 meters is still pretty long, and I can show a quick example of that in the trainer range later. Secondary fire critical damage multiplier reduced from 2 to 1.5. This means that your right-click now does a little bit... your right-click now does not one-shot, like they said, 200 HP heroes, but obviously I'm not entirely sure how that will work when damage boosted or how many shots it will take with your left click. Secondary fire damage now scales linearly with energy from 30 to 130 damage. 1 energy converts to 1 damage added. Primary fire damage per projectile increased from 9 to 10, and overclock energy charge rate increased by 20%. So, this is why I say there's some buffs and some nerfs. So this actually will make the left click of Sojourn a lot stronger because you're going to be close range anyway. And the overclock energy rate is increased by 20%, which means you're going to have that up a lot quicker. So it feels like Sojourn's still going to be a really strong hero. It's like basically what they're doing is they're changing the playstyle of the right click being a one shot at that point to making it so you can have essentially a bit more left click damage, but like they increase the damage of the projectile, so if you hit it just like 1 or 2 left clicks, you can still right click in one shot. So I still think Sojourn will be pretty good. I'm not quite sure yet in the meta where Sojourn will be, but I would not doubt it if Sojourn's still meta. I would not doubt that, straight up. Symmetra, developer comments, the changes to Symmetra's primary fire will make her gameplay faster by enabling her to charge the beam up dangerous levels more quickly. To dangerous levels more quickly. However, it will also drain to less lethal levels at an increased rate when not damaging a target. We're reverting the adjustments to her ammo management because while it helped with matchups where there were no barriers, it lost something interesting to its interactions. Beam charge rate and decay rate increased by 20%. Primary fire ammo consumption rate increased from 7 to 10 per second. Primary fire gains ammo from damaged barriers again. So it's not like there's changing a bit of Sim. I don't play Sim enough to know like how major of a change this is, but it sounds like allows for Sim to play a bit more aggressive. So, yeah. Tracer. We balanced Tracer's damage in a previous patch due to an undiscovered bug regarding her pulse pistol's fall-off damage. The bug is resolved, so we revert the damage. Damage increased from 5 to 6. So this is a good buff for Tracer. I wouldn't doubt it if Tracer's played more. Ana, developer comments. Sleep Dart is still one of the most powerful crowd control abilities in 5v5, though with the addition of cleanse mechanics to offer a potential counter to this effect, we're more comfortable with reducing the cooldown here to improve Ana's personal survivability. Sleep Dart, cooldown reduced from 15 to 14 seconds. Good change. I have nothing wrong with that change. That's a fine change. Does it make Ana, like, the best hero in the game now? No. Quality of life change. Kiriko. The hit volume adjustment is to help address her arms sometimes blocking headshots in some of her animations. Kiriko feels balanced overall, but her ultimate can feel too frenetic at times. We're reducing both the movement speed and cooldown rate boost it grants so that it's easier to aim during its effect for both allies and enemies, as well as there being fewer abilities being thrown about. The rest of the changes are primarily for quality of life improvements to make the abilities feel better to use. Arm hit volumes width reduced by 15%. This was basically in the previous patch. You could just look up in the air and pretty much block headshots. That's why that's there. Added in an auto wall climb hero option. It's good to have. I mean, it's something... I don't think there's anything wrong with having that. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a fine patch note, right? That's fine to me. All right. Kitsune Rush. Ultimate cost increased by 10%. Good change. Movement speed reduced from 50 to 30%. I don't know how that's going to be yet. Like, part of me is like, I have a ton of fun in Suzu, and I feel like this makes Suzu a little bit less fun to play in. But going against it, it makes sense. So it's like, you know, maybe they could have tried 40%. That, once again, is more of like, that's a bit of a biased take. I've always enjoyed playing in Kiriko Ultimate. Cooldown rate reduced from 3 to 2 times faster. So that makes it so, like, you get your cooldowns up a little bit slower. So, overall, Kitsune Rush is getting nerfed. Straight up. It's just getting nerfed. Which makes sense. It was a very powerful ultimate. Protection Suzu, cast time reduced from 0.51 to 0.1. Does that mean it's going to be easier to Suzu somebody? So, like, there's even, like... Because my take on this is, like, I feel like it was probably fine at 0.15. And this goes back to what we were talking about with Junker Queen. Like, it's going to be so hard to really get good, valuable ultimates on some heroes when you just are able to get Suzu as, like, quickly as that. It just... playing against Suzu, like, listen, when I get Suzu as, like, a tank, I'm like, this is great. Going against it, it's like... I don't know if they necessarily needed to make it 0.1. I think 0.15 probably would have been fine, right? It has a little bit of counterplay. It doesn't let you... Like, if a player makes a really good play... and you don't react to it, like, immediately, then your Suzu won't be as effective, right? So sometimes you need to do it. So I don't know. I feel like that probably wasn't a needed change. My guess is that they saw that they nerfed Kitsune Rush and said, you know what? We have to give a buff back. So they did that. Straight up. Kunai. Ammo increased from 12 to 15. I mean, that's just... Hey, why not, right? What else should we change? Just more ammo. Are you sure on that one? Yep. All right. Ammo it is. So there they go. Swift Step. Ability input can now be held to activate. Hey, not a bad change. Not a bad change. I like this. I think this is a good idea, and it adds... This is like one of those quality of life changes they were talking. I think that's good. Given that ability on Swift Step allows for a little bit much more of a play. Yep. I'll show you in a bit. All right, and on to the last balance patch of Season 2 so far. I do want to say, I really do want to see a good mid-season balance patch this season, because that's going to be super important for the game, okay? Developer comment. This is a change that will enable Mercy to better defend herself or even go on the offensive at times. In 5v5, these situations occur much more often. Weapon swap time reduced from 0.5 to 0.35 seconds. Mercy's pistol. Ammo increased from 20 to 25. Listen, hear me out here. I am not the best Mercy. Okay? But if I get to 25 bullets shot before I get one shot, I can't wait. All right? All this says to me is that I'm going to be able to feed quicker. I don't mind. I mean, the change is fine. It's like, okay, great, right? And yeah, with the ultimate's going to be good. I just don't know if, like, this was the change that when you saw Mercy changes, people were expecting. Like, I don't think it was like, they were like, hey, by the way, in the blog post, yeah, we're going to be making some changes to Mercy. People are like, ooh, okay, some changes to Mercy. I wonder what's going to be. Could it be HPS? You know, could there be a little bit of difference of, like, Guardian Angel? Like, is there going to be some other changes that could be good? I don't think many people were going, I want to be able to take my staff out. I want to be able to switch between my pistol and my staff much quicker. So, honestly, it's a fine change. It was probably the last change that was expected from the Mercy changes, in my opinion. It's just like, that was probably the least expected thing that they saw, right? I'm not saying the change is bad. I'm saying that it was just probably the last change that people thought about when it came to Mercy. You know what I mean? Someone in the chat just goes, she has a weapon? What do you mean? Have you not seen me? Have you not seen me in Valkyrie? When I ult? Oh. When I ult as Mercy, you don't see me get one shot all the time when I just run at them in a straight line holding my left click on my pistol? Oh, I pop off all the time. Let's talk about this very quickly because I want to go through this fairly quickly. Season 2 map pools. Push, New Queen Street, Coliseo, Esperanza, this morning. Hybrid, Blizzard World, Overcast, which is new. That is now back. Blizzard World is back. But there's no more Gibraltar or Hollywood being played this season. Eichenwald evening, Kings Row evening, Midtown morning, Rio morning, Escort Dorado, Escort Junkertown, Circuit Royale, Rialto, Route 66, and the new map, Shambhala Monastery, which is actually a pretty fun map. It's really uphill. And then Basan night, Ilios evening, Lijiang Tower dawn, Nepal evening, and then Oasis morning. Talk about this very quickly, chat. I'm not the biggest fan of map pools right now. I think if anything, they can maybe change the way it works on like a daily basis to where like some maps might be played more, things like that. But like, they're removing like Gibraltar and Hollywood now, that means those maps won't be played for 9 weeks. So like, I feel like, and then we also don't have, oh, I'm also glad Rialto's back. We also don't have Nabani and then Havana being played either. So that's 4 maps right there. So it's just like, I feel like they don't need to have map pools, and hopefully they kind of look into that. But I just don't want it to be like it was last season where it was like, push, Koth, Kings Row, someone left, push, Koth, push, Koth, New Queen Street, push, Koth, Midtown, ooh. Oh, wait, no. Okay, Midtown, push, Koth, Midtown, push, Midtown? So, hopefully that isn't like quite the case of that, but we'll see. So, that's my take on that. The thing here about like Doom now, so just to show, when you right click now, no matter what, it stuns them for a little bit, see? Even without Empowered Punch, see? So that's like one of the major changes where like, no matter what, Doom is gonna stun now. Is it a long time? No, but it makes Doom so much better with that. Like so much better. And obviously if you look at like the right click on the bottom now, you actually also charge up your, you get more HP from like your shields now. So if you look, I'm getting a lot of HP from like the overshields on that. So, Doom now has that stun, which makes Doom a lot better with that. A lot better. And then obviously your power block, like everything with that. And I'll show you one of the major changes too. Here, let me show you. Like, this ultimate... Yeah, well, it has to be against the wall because that's how it does that, so... Yep, even with the right click on the punch, too, see? You want to stop the punch, you can... So, here, let me show you the ultimate. So, as you can see right now, I don't have a charge punch. Watch this.
Meteor strike.
Notice anything? Not only are they slowed for 3 seconds now instead of 2, you notice anything? You get a charge punch now for your ultimate. So the ultimate was more of an escape for a while. Now you can actually use it more aggressively because you can stun them right away or go into it like a charge punch. And that will keep them stunned for a while. So that is... I think Doom is going to be one of the better tanks this season so far. Also, remember earlier when I was on Junker Queen? I showed you that I was like 15 healing with the damage. Let me show you what the damage is now. So keep in mind, Junker Queen has a larger hitbox now, so it can take damage a little bit easier from people just because the hitbox is larger. So watch my HP now when I do the like just the melee, just like one melee. So it's 19 HP now. So will that be enough to make Junker Queen a lot like just more meta and things like that? I just don't know. I really don't know. I really think Junker Queen may be in the same spot.
How many of you drunk are there?
I don't know if there was enough changes to make Junker Queen that much better. Well, they also made it so you get your ultimate 10% quicker, but it lasts for 4.5 seconds instead of 5. And obviously, when you do your Carnage, I think your Carnage will do 50 healing now or something equivalent of that. So you're going to get a little bit more healing, yes, but I don't know if it will be enough. I don't know if it will be enough. Yeah, exactly. With the hitbox being increased by 12%, it actually might... I'm not going to say Junker Queen is nerfed, but I don't think Junker Queen is necessarily buffed either. So... Oh, yes, and then they changed the knife to be, like, curved now on like, the path. So, like, watch this. So it's going to come back like a curve. See? Watch. See? It's like... Let me see if I can find a better spot so you can see what I'm talking about. Ready? See? Comes back kind of like at like an angle on that curve. Now, I don't know if that's quite just an animation and always was like that, but I might have to readjust the playstyle a little bit on how I do that. So like I can go like this and it'll curve through them. Actually, I didn't even do that, but like if I go like this, I can maybe like get it to curve a little bit on that and see what it does. So yeah. Oh, it definitely was like that before. So I mean, interesting change. So yeah.